Today we're going to discuss the 10 most dangerous ingredients in the world. The main issue with some of these ingredients in junk food are not really the ingredients. It's really something much bigger. It's the intention behind those ingredients. They all have one purpose: to get you hooked. It's all about getting you addicted, because they had to solve a problem. How do you take cheap industrial so-called food, but it's just chemistry, it's chemicals, modified food starch, right? How do you get people to eat this? In order to get someone to be hooked or addicted to something of such lower, poor quality, you have to deplete it of protein, because protein actually satisfies you. If there was protein in junk food, you would only eat a little bit. If there's no protein in certain foods, you'll keep eating until that protein is satisfied. So you rarely see protein in junk food. Number two, you have to create a blood sugar spike. So you have to raise the blood sugar so it comes down, because even though you're filled and you just ate, the body is going to want to have more sugar. And this is why someone that has a sugary breakfast meal could be hungry an hour and a half later, which is insane because they're not really hungry. And then they also have to add flavoring, but they don't use like one flavoring. There's literally over 100 to 200 different chemicals in flavoring that has nothing to do with stimulating your tongue receptors, and it has everything to do with stimulating your brain receptors for all sorts of bizarre flavorings that your brain is totally confused. So it's kind of like a brain explosion of flavors that's like, wow, this is amazing. And then they design it to come up and to come down really quick. So then you can't just have one. You have to have another one, another one. I remember when I was literally addicted to Doritos, I would sit down and I just would be like, not even mindless, just keep eating one more, and down the whole bag. And that's because of the flavorings were so amazing, but they didn't last. So I had to keep having one to keep that same fix going because I was addicted. And then what about this thing called monosodium glutamate? What is that? It will make a food taste better than it really is. It must have certain textures because people don't like kind of crumbly, dry, bad texture food. It must have a good mouthfeel in order for you to keep eating it. You also must actually hit this bliss point, this perfect chemical combination between sweet, salt, and fat. Okay, they've researched this hardcore. And then they use certain chemicals to increase this dopamine, which actually has a lot to do with different parts of the brain, like pleasure. And people kind of get stuck in this trap. So that's really the interesting thing about this. It's the intention behind the food. It's all engineered to get you hooked. Okay, now let's go through the ingredients. Number one, trans fats. They are trying to ban trans fats. They're still in our foods in less quantity. They're very bad, but they're even worse if you combine refined carbohydrates. Talk about really destroying the liver. If you combine these two together, your liver is going to be in really bad shape. People never just consume one ingredient. It's always a combination. And even the CDC says that 1 in 3 people consume junk food on a daily basis. And most people consume junk food once a week. I mean, that's crazy. And so we have a really big problem. We have a big health problem. Let's talk about number 2, high fructose corn syrup. We already know high fructose corn syrup goes right to your liver, and it creates a lot of stress in the liver, and it creates a fatty liver, and it creates insulin resistance. But when you combine this with alcohol, maybe in certain margarita drinks, certain sweet drinks that you might get, you are literally taking this to the next level and really creating a serious problem with your brain, your nervous system, your heart, your liver. And then also if you add seed oils to it, I mean, you're just taking it to the next level. So what food would have high fructose corn syrup, alcohol, and seed oils? Well, maybe a big gulp soda, which is high fructose corn syrup. And then let's say you order fries with that, with the seed oils. And then maybe you're at a restaurant where they have alcohol and you drink that as well. I don't even know how people survive that, but that's a really deadly combination. Let's talk about number 3, this thing called sodium nitrate. This is a preservative. It's also something to make the meat stay the right color, look fresh. So you'll see this like in bacon, hot dogs. And so it has a certain toxicity level, but when you heat it, it actually changes into something known to cause cancer in animals. Now, of course, the studies in human are observational. but we do know it can create cancer or tumors in animal studies. All right, number 4, heated carbohydrates. What would that be? French fries, potato chips, burnt toast. When you add heat to a starch, and of course, if you deep fry it in seed oils, or let's say you just take toast, you're creating these byproducts, aldehydes or acrylamide, toxic chemicals that then create more inflammation in different parts of the body. Not to mention this other thing called advanced glycation end products. When you combine a starch, which is really kind of sugar, to a protein, or a starch or sugar to a fat, both of these situations right here, you create a situation that when it goes in your body, you start to really damage the inside of the arteries, your eye, your kidney, your brain, your nervous system, creating a lot of oxidative damage and inflammation. And I just want to say one thing about seed oils, because a lot of counter arguments are seed oils are not inherently bad in themselves. But here's the thing. No one consumes that oil in a cold state. They consume it heated. You actually buy it from the store when it's already been through a whole chemical industrial process where it's heated. They add chemicals like solvents like hexane. And then you get it as an end product already heated. And those are some of the details that they forget to tell you when they say that seed oils are essential or seed oils are inherently not that bad because they're vegetable oils. But here's my question. How can they actually sit on the shelf without being refrigerated? Like, these are very unstable, very delicate oils. No one will consume them in a cold state. What, are you going to just put it on your salad? No, they actually use them for cooking, right? And not to mention, these seed oils incorporate into your cell membranes, and they can also negatively affect your insulin receptors to create insulin resistance. And I want to put a link down below of this research on soybean oil. They found soybean oil is more obesogenic, which means it causes more obesity, and more diabetogenic, basically creates more diabetes, than coconut oil and fructose in mice. So there's some really interesting data on seed oils making you fat and seed oils creating diabetes. All right, number 5, artificial sweeteners, right? We've been using these for a very long time, and they have certain effects on our bodies, but a really big effect is on our microbiome. You can't live without your microbiome. They help you so much, and we help them. And one thing that they don't like is artificial sweeteners. It's going to negatively affect your health, just like number 6, glyphosate. What is that? That's an herbicide. That's Roundup Ready. And because they don't like the word GMO foods, they use another word now called bioengineered ingredients. Okay, so you'll see that on the label. The big argument that they'll say that glyphosate is okay to consume or be exposed to because there's no research that says that it affects human bodies. Well, what about our microbiome? And this is patented also as an antibiotic. This has been even classified by the World Health Organization as a probable carcinogen. But Bayer bought Roundup Ready from Monsanto, and I could imagine they're kicking themselves because of the lawsuits they're getting and the headaches and the problem that this is creating worldwide. But people don't want this in their foods. Unfortunately, even if something says GMO free, it doesn't mean it's glyphosate free, because they also spray a lot of this on wheat that's not GMO to dry it out, like 3 times as much. And so we're getting this in our bodies. Let's talk about number 7, MSG, monosodium glutamate. This is something that is injected into rodents to make them fat because it affects the hypothalamus and it causes them to eat a lot of food. Now, you will hear the argument that, oh yeah, you can't cross over that argument to humans. It doesn't do that for humans. In fact, the Chinese restaurant syndrome has never been proven fully. So here's the thing. What does MSG actually do? It makes things taste very, very savory. So you have to realize this does stimulate hunger. And this is why it's deadly to connect this with the refined carbs. It really overstimulates the glutamine receptors. And so you can actually have low quality food and actually upgrade it and make it taste better than it really is. And the reason I know that is when I go to these Chinese restaurants and I order it without MSG, it's kind of flat. It's like, you know what? I can't really eat the whole thing. It's not as delicious. So MSG is, again, a flavor enhancer, and this is all part of making you hooked. Let's talk about number 8, phosphate. Sodas, they have phosphoric acid. This is a stimulant. It'll perk you up. The problem is it mobilizes a lot of calcium, and if you don't have enough vitamin K2, you can end up with arterial calcification. And you have to be careful with the kidneys because too much phosphate is very corrosive and destructive. But I'll see people just downing cola, and even small children as well. Let's talk about number 9, potassium bromate. This is a dough or bread conditioner. It's a probable carcinogen, and usually there's going to be added sugar to that and a lot of other things that's going to complicate things and make things worse. So I would highly recommend avoiding that. Now let's talk about this right here, synthetic flavorings. When you see the word flavoring, realize you're talking about a lot of different flavorings, sometimes up to 200 or even 300 different chemicals, all combined in a certain way to make your brain explode. It's confusing and manipulating your brain and creating this spike and a drop down, so you have to have another one. And unfortunately, when you do these chronically, you lose the taste for real food. It happened to me. Like, I was literally just thinking about, okay, tonight, I can't wait to have those Doritos, right? And I would just keep doing it. And I would be in this thing, I'd keep doing it. I wouldn't even want real food. I could just live on this all the time. Now, if we take a look at what's happening now, I don't eat that stuff anymore. I haven't for years. When I do attempt to eat it just for videos and things, because sometimes I'll have to put something in my mouth, it's disgusting. I'm like, how did I even get sucked into that? But your body gets used to it. But now I actually like real food. Now I want to explain a really powerful, simple tool that it's a free app. It's called Dr. Berg Junk Food Meter. And you can download it on your phone. And then all you have to do is scan a food and it'll tell you the 3 main things that you want to avoid: sugar, starch, and seed oils. I will put a link for this app down below so you can check it out and use it. Hopefully it'll help you. Now that we talked about the worst food in the world, let's talk about the healthiest food in the world with this video right here. Check it out.